Hi Silver Moon families, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about subitizing and what it is and what it's not. So subitizing is knowing the amount of something without having to count individually. So if I show you a group of objects, you would be able to know right away that there's 3 without having to count each one. Also, when you see a dice roll on a surface, you automatically know that it's 5 without having to count the dots individually. That's called subitizing. It's a big thing in pre-K, and it also goes into kindergarten, and it helps with adding and subtracting for the students in their future. So if I was going to show you a group of dots, I want you to subitize, and you're going to be able to count the dots without having to count individually. So here we go. How many? Right, you probably said 2. So how did you know? Well, you were able to see 1 and 2, so you know that's 2. Here's another one. Did you get it? You're right, it's 4. So you probably thought, well, I see 2 here, and then I see a duplicate, 2 more dots, 2 and 2 is 4. So that's subitizing. It's a little bit of mental math. It's a little bit of guessing, or it's a little bit of adding without knowing that the students are adding, because they're able to see the number. They're able to see the quantity of dots. They just don't know they're adding them together. They're like, well, I see 1, 2, then I see 2 more, 3, 4. It takes a little bit of practice. If your student is not getting it yet, that's okay. They can continue to count the dots one by one, but eventually they're going to catch on. A good way to practice is, if you have dice at home, roll dice and have them guess the number without having to count. Now we're going to try another one. Here we go. How many was it? If you said 5, you were right. So you know that the top row there's only 5 spaces, and you saw that all of them were filled, so you know it's 5. You saw that there is an empty row down here, and again, since you know that there's only 5 spaces on the bottom, that this space was equal to that space. So that helps in your quick thinking when you see this. You see, oh, I see the top row full, the bottom row empty. That's 5. So I'll put that one over here. So subitizing is not only looking at amounts on 10 frames, it could be looking at a group of something. Maybe there's 3 toys, and you automatically know there's 3 without having to count individually. Just like I was giving the example of the dice. So here we go. It doesn't matter which way you turn it, but you know there's 3. It helps, the shape helps. I will say that, knowing that there's this triangular shape, it does help us recall the number quicker. If you see this one, how many? You're right. You probably said 5 because you see the dot in the middle. And then you see 4, and then you see 1 in the middle. That reminds you that there's 5. Again, it does take a little bit of practice. Subitizing is not completely memorization. And if your child is not getting it, try, for example, if they said that this was 4, ask them, are you sure that's 4? Let's count. Or you can have them count on their own again. What I suggest not doing is telling them that it's 5. If they would look at this and say, oh, maybe they would say it's 4. Are you sure it's 4? Maybe we should count again. Again, what I suggest not doing is telling them automatically that it's 3. So math is an investigation. Math is critical thinking. Math is a process. When we give students the answers to math, it really hinders their thinking process. It is really difficult for students to understand why and how they came to a conclusion when someone is feeding them numbers.